Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Monday, March 28th, 2016. This is a public hearing before the Massachusetts Gaming Commission here at the Shaw Center in Brockton. I'm Chairman Stephen Crosby. Also present are Commissioners Gail Cameron, Lloyd McDonald, Bruce Stebbins, and Enrique Zuniga. This hearing is covered pursuant to Section 17 of Chapter 23K of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 118.05 of the Commission's regulations. We're here today to reconvene our host community hearing that began on March 1st, 2016, and to accept public comment from members of the host community regarding matters that occurred since the host community hearing on March 1st, pertaining to Mass Gaming and Entertainment's application for a Category 1 gaming license in Brockton, Mass. There are 3 items on our agenda. First of all, the commissioners will have a chance to ask questions of the applicant about their presentation back on March 1st, because we ran out of time, didn't have the opportunity to do that. Secondly, and primarily, we will take comments from the public, limiting your comments to things that have occurred, actions that have occurred, or things that have come up since March 1st. And then there'll be an opportunity for brief closing statements from either or both of the applicant or the host community. This is not an opportunity to repeat messages that have been delivered to us previously. Rather, it is only for comments on developments since May 1st. Before we begin, the Commission would like to thank you all for being here today and other times as well. This is a public hearing, and it's critically important that you, the public, be a part of the process to ensure that the Commission achieves the best results possible. We've also received many written comments, and we have read and considered them all. This is not a question and answer period or a debate. Once we begin, anybody who wishes to comment and has signed in, and there's a sign-up sheet outside if you haven't signed up already, may come forward when called and be recognized by the Commission. They may then proceed to offer their comment. In order to use the available time efficiently, the Commission asks that speakers limit their comments to 3 minutes, and we have a clock, as you know, that we will be keeping time. Upon closing the public hearing this evening, and we will stay as long as it takes, the Commission by statute must make its determination of award of a Region C license no sooner than 30 days and no later than 90 days after the close of this hearing. The Commission expects to begin its public evaluation of MG&E's Region C application the last week in April, and will begin its public evaluation of MG&E's Region C application the last week in April, and will deliberate in public, streamed live on the web, until it reaches a decision. We will accept further written comments via our website until that public evaluation begins the last week in April. Before we begin public comment, the Commissioners are invited to ask questions of the Brockton applicant, MG&E, since we did not have time for this follow-up at the last meeting. So, Commissioners, did you have any follow-up questions?
I do not.
One item on the agenda is down. Now we will turn to the public comment period. The Commission requests that all speakers identify themselves prior to commenting, and please be sure to keep your voices up as this hearing is being recorded. With that, we will now open up the floor to comment, and we will start with Ann Beauregard, a Ward 5 counselor from, I believe, the city of Brockton. Councilor Beauregard. We will then move to the people who signed up online, and we will start with Dana Boardman. You could also line up maybe Reverend Jill Wiley, Pastor Richard Reed are next on the list. Good evening.
My name's Dana Boardman. I live on 28 Oakdale Street, a wonderful city of Brockton. I'd like to thank you, Mr. Crosby, and members for having the opportunity to speak to you again. The casino issue in Brockton has become a very fluid issue, as I ask you to honestly consider both the state's needs and the city of Brockton's needs. Economically, your decision will impact many lives, I'm sure you're aware. The recent infusion of the Taunton Casino has made your decision more complicated. The status of Native American tribes issue seems rather uncomplicated if history has taught us anything correctly. The Pilgrims were helped by the Wampanoags. King Philip's War was fought nearby. Massachusetts Community College named after their chief who was killed in Plymouth. Now, I know you don't want to hear a history lesson, but, from my perspective, I think that will clear up. The economic uncertainty over oversaturation is a very real issue and will add to the uncertainty in a long run. One of the issues I haven't heard raised is how much water is the city going to be tying up, and how much will that impact in the city's growth? And I haven't heard too much about that. I didn't see in their application any water-saving techniques or solar or anything really high-tech from what I could see online. Financing, I'm sure they have a lot of money in deep pockets, and that's wonderful. I'm just concerned with long-term, with 2 casinos possibly in the area. Also, I'm very concerned, I don't know if you get the local paper, but a few weeks ago, this facility, it's kind of ironic we hear, is being funded by $8 million that's owed the city, and they're asking for it to be waived. So there's concerns if you build over there 5 restaurants, 2 or 3 hotels, this place is going down, and the taxpayers here will be greatly impacted. Where are we going to come up with $8 million? We can't afford to just say, nice, see you later. Also, the last meeting, I'm not trying to bring up new stuff, but it was an eye-opener. We had union people from Pennsylvania coming here, and they expressed some concerns I would have as commissioner and a company coming into Brockton that has some of the concerns that those people mentioned. Another concern I haven't heard answered is in Brockton, we have a lot of gamblers. They love the lottery. Well, if you have a casino here, it's going to dip into the lottery. How much? That money comes back to the schools and the state. So you're maybe robbing Peter to pay Paul. And I have a rest of my, I'll give to you first.
Okay.
For listening.
Thank you for sticking with the time limit. Appreciate it. Reverend Jill Wiley.
Mr. Chair, members of the Commission, and those watching online, my name is Jill Wiley, and I live just down the street from here at 127 Tilton Avenue in Brockton. And I oppose the awarding of a Regency license to Mass Gaming and Entertainment. Welcome to the neighborhood, Commissioners. Do you feel like you're in a resort destination today? The new material that I just wanted to touch on was thank you for coming to the site where the casino is proposed. And you can see where we all live, work, shop, bank, worship, and daily cross paths. Probably 23,000 people live within a 10-minute walk of this site, Shaw's Center. And then virtually all of the population of Brockton is within a 15-minute drive. So this site is at the heart of who our community is. So I wanted to thank you for putting the community in the host community meeting and the hearing today, because we haven't had a lot of opportunities to speak directly. Now, some of us have been to many meetings. We know you. We know how you operate. And I might reiterate what somebody said, that you sit very patiently and with great attention to material that my eyes glazed over about 3 months ago. So I want to honor you for that. It is your job. You are regulators. But in this case, as you can see, because of the application that you're looking at, you're also called to be traffic managers, city planners, even moral agents, because there has not been a discussion in this community either before or since this host community agreement was made. There was one meeting that once again we heard the proposal laid out, but there was little opportunity for our leaders to come and ask us questions and enable us. Now, we could do it one-on-one, but we do appreciate this opportunity and the transparency of the Commission in having these open meetings. So last week, when I was listening to Mr. Bloom talk about the fact that he was doing this for his grandchildren, and I had an opportunity to talk with Mr. Carney's son, who said he was doing it for his children. And so all of these are for profit-making for a generation of these families but we're talking about the generations to come in Brockton and having a casino right smack in the middle of our community. And as you can see from here, a high school not far away, a library across the street, a cemetery, a barber shop, the registry of motor vehicles. This is our town square. This is our community. And we ask that you relieve us of this burden. We're counting on you. You are the point. You're the front line for us to defeat this proposition for our community so we can open up to many, many more opportunities for that land. And we really hope as a community we can work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Wiley, and then we'll get to Councillor Beauregard. I'm sorry, Reed.
Yeah. I've been called many things. That's okay, as long as it's not late for dinner. Commissioners, I want to thank you again for the opportunity just to be able to give a brief presentation to you today and some of the concerns or the new things that have popped up. With all that we've heard over in the past year, it's hard to imagine that there really are some new things out there, but there are. We look at what people were trying to predict would happen, and I see that there was a misreading of the opposition. And again, I use the word opposition very loosely here. Throughout this past year, we heard from Mr. Bloom and his team that the Mashpee tribe will not get the land in trust, but it happened. We've continually heard also that the Mashpee tribe would not have financing, but right before you, just a few weeks ago, you heard from the financiers that, yes, phase one of what they want to do in Taunton is fully financed, and that they're piecing together the financing for the later phases. So again, here we have two particular facts that were misread by many people. At the recent meeting on Thursday was brought up the argument that was introduced by some of the attorneys for Mr. Bloom that the Indian Compact of 2013 may not be valid, as they looked at some of the wording that was in it and the quoting of other legal documents. But it's interesting that neither of the parties that are involved in that compact seem to have any issue with it. Now, we know that really no third party has any real standing in challenging it, because it's between two parties, the Mashpee tribe and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. The fact is, whether or not the Department of Interior did exactly what they were supposed to do or not, they have taken the land in trust. They put a lot of thought and legal considerations into this, and they went ahead with it. So again, looking at it not as an attorney, but as a common citizen of Massachusetts, I see no problem here. But it's the financial projections that really get to me. Do we know the two different groups, the Spectrum Group and the Innovative Group, what their reputation, how close were they on the numbers in other places where they predicted what the income and the revenue would be? But also, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has taken a hit, and as a former employee of the Commonwealth, the pension fund took a hit, $25 million. Now, I know that was back in the late 80s and early 90s, but can we trust the numbers that Mr. Bloom and his team are giving right now? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Beauregard.
Thank you for your patience. I'm here again to say, again, thank you for listening to our community and our concerns. I'll emphasize, it's the location. We're right next to a high school. We're around the block from a middle school. We're down the street from a large elementary school, and we're up the street from the Veterans Hospital. This is a location that's better used for technology, improved medical care, advances in health care. It's a better place for people to get quality jobs that will last for years and not be, how would I say it, with the favor of the time, whether it is casino gambling or other sorts of slot machines, etc. It's not a place for anything that belongs in a neighborhood where people have worked hard for years to have their homes and to live there and take care of them. It's not a place, because it's so close to churches where people come to worship. This is not a good location. Thank you for listening to our community, and we hope you make the best decision for it.
Thank you, Counselor. Barry Shelley, Fred McDermott, Isabel Lopez. In that order.
Hi, I'm Barry Shelley. Thank you for the time to express some of my concerns. I know that Brockton could use an infusion of revenue, and as an economist who has done some review of the studies, peer-reviewed studies on the impacts of casinos on local neighborhoods, including economic pros and cons, the social cost, home values, etc., I'm not fully convinced that the benefits here would be as great as some people would like them to be. However, having said that, what I'd really like to address today is not so much the economic analysis, but what really motivates me to come today, and that's my 10-year-old daughter, Sophia, and her friends. 7 years ago, my family and I sought a community between Boston and where I work, and Norton, where my wife works at Wheaton College. And we had many options. And we consciously chose Brockton because Brockton is the kind of community we were looking for. Its diversity, its activity, its culture, etc. The schools. We love it here. We love our neighborhood, which is only about 3 blocks away. We love the schools. We love the different, the culture, the involvements. We're committed to being here for the long haul. Our investments in our home, our involvements in the community reflect that long-term vision. But 4 years from now, Sophia will begin going to Brockton High School. And because we live so close, she will be walking. And the idea of her walking by to and fro from school every day past not only the casino, but casino traffic gives us great pause and causes us to start rethinking our long-term commitment here. Regardless, I think, of the possible financial benefits here, and I want to say I'm a very reasonable person, but regardless of whether or not we think there may be financial benefits, I can really not understand how we could seriously consider putting a casino across the street from a high school. And where you have 4,000 teenagers that are coming back and forth every day. In this case, I think location alone should be sufficient reason for denying permission to build here. So thank you for considering that. And again, I wish you well in your decision. Thanks.
Thank you.
Hi, Fred McDermott. 25 years ago, the Mass Pension System decided to trust Mr. Bloom with $25 million of its money, the pension system in this state. That was a bad investment, and it cost the pension system $25 million because they relied on this man, Mr. Bloom. He had no excuses for the loss. In fact, at the same time that the pension system lost $25 million, he was receiving advisory funds in the tune of $25 million. Now, you may say that's a while ago, and what does that have to do with gaming? Well, I think it shows there's a history here. Another entity, state entity, trusted this man with their money, and the state lost $25 million. So I don't know why you should trust him. Secondly, he also seems to have a problem, or at least his casino does, in Pennsylvania with underage gambling. He's been fined, or his casino has been fined, almost $500,000 because of fines for allowing underage gambling in the casino. And none of those casinos are directly across the street from a high school. So if this happened in Pennsylvania, where these underage individuals don't have access, certainly here there's going to be more access for high school kids to come over and find out what it's all about. So he has a history here. He has a history of certainly wasting the Commonwealth's money, and secondly, of allowing underage gambling. So what I would ask you, based on that, not to allow him to have a casino here in Brockton. It's the wrong place. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Isabel Lopez, Bianca Gutierrez, and Tracy Gutierrez. And Stephen O'Brien.
Good
Good afternoon.
My name is Tracy Gutierrez. I'm here as myself, as a mother of 5 children, and also I'm a member of the Brockton Interfaith community. My concern about the casino is the location. As a mother of 5 children, who I have 2 children at the high school right now, and 2 more who will go to the high school in the future, it's concerning the amount of kids who are in the streets in Brockton before school and after school. And I would imagine a lot of people in this room who are pro-casino have the ability to pick their kids up and drive them after activities. But we have a lot, my kids are very active at Brockton High School, and a lot of the parents, they don't have the ability to pick their kids up at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night. Those kids are in the streets, and they're going to be walking by a casino. What type of message is that sending to our youth? It is our job to protect them. And also, you have the other issues of Brockton High football games. You have hundreds of kids in the street after those games, and they're going to be walking in the streets where across the street there'll be a casino that serves free alcohol. That is a method for disaster. And to be honest, I wish my children could be here right now, because they're looking for you guys to look out for what's best for the youth in this city. Because obviously the message isn't getting through to a lot of the parents, and more parents should be here fighting for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen O'Brien, Michael Chula, Jerry Maloney. Diane, somebody coming?
I'm Mike Shula. I'm a retired Air Force. I just want to go over a couple of main subjects that it's very important. The Brockton Fairgrounds is in Ward 1. Ward 1 voted against the casino. We have 7 wards, but Ward 1 voted against it. That's a very important factor that should be brought out. The second area I want to talk about, if people are going to a casino, the traffic gets heavy. If they're coming down Highway 24, and they take the first exit heading south, that means they're going to go across an intersection, and the intersection is Pleasant and West Street. That's a very bad intersection. It has the highest accident rate in Massachusetts. Again, Pleasant and West Street. If they take the first exit to go into Brockton, Pleasant and West Street has the highest accident rate in Massachusetts. So that's going to be a problem. And it's a problem right now as it exists. And that's about all I have to say. These 2 areas is very important. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioner Crosby and fellow members of the Commission.
Good afternoon.
My name is Jerry Maloney. I am a lifelong resident in the city of Brockton. I was a member of the St. Vincent de Paul Society there, and we ran a food pantry. We had maybe 20 or 30 clients a month. We, at one time, gave out $25 to $35 food vouchers for people to go and get food. We had to stop that because the supermarket advised us that some of the clients were buying the food and probably had a friend with them, turned around, got outside the door, much less, not 100 feet from the store, and sold or swap the food for money from a friend of theirs. Now, we have 3 motels that are within a mile and a half of the proposed casino here that are loaded with EBT card carrying people. I'm not against the EBT cards for people that are legitimately using them, but knowing that there will be a certain percentage of them that will not use them properly, they will go out and, yes, legally purchase food again or other commodities. And then what are they going to do? They're going to sell it so that they can come over to the casino and gamble. What are they going to do after that when they lose the money? Then they're going to go to, for the women, well, maybe even the men. They'll go to prostitution. They'll go to committing petty crimes, which unfortunately this state now is looking at raising the limit on it, which I think is absolutely stupid. Not that that has anything to do with you people, but I think that it is a gross injustice to the taxpayers of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Another thing that I would like to mention too is that you talk of the infrastructure here. There is absolutely none. As the gentleman in front of me spoke of trying to come through across Pleasant Street and down West Street off of Route 24 and down Reynolds Highway, or coming west from 123, you do not have a sufficient capacity of road capacity to handle the volume of the cars that potentially could be coming in here, much less to say what disruption that would have on the surrounding businesses and supermarkets here, especially on weekends, which is their big time for them to hopefully make money so they can stay in business. If they have a backup and jams potentially on the weekends, and they lose 15 to 20% in business, you probably, quite possibly, would see them going out of business. They would close the stores.
Thank you, Mr. Maloney. That's great.
So,
Appreciate it.
The other thing that I would like to mention is...
You can drop us a line for the rest of it, but I'm trying to keep everybody to 3 minutes.
Okay.
All right? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Carol Harris, Diane Massaroni, Nancy King. Vivian Senatori.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for hearing us. As I've sit here listening today,
Excuse
I
me,
realize...
can you tell us your name, please?
Carol Harris.
Okay.
As I sit here listening today, I realize that I really don't have anything new to say, so I'm not going to keep you very long, but I would just like to say that Brockton desperately needs some help. And I've lived here for 69 years. I've seen the city going steadily downhill. As one gentleman said, who was an opposite from what I've been thinking, our hotels and motels are full of people on welfare, and we need a break. We need something to try to revitalize the city. We don't even have a movie theater, and we really need help. And I think this is the only thing that may help us to start to turn things around and draw other businesses in as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Commissioners. My name is Diane Massaroni, and I've lived in the city all my life, too. I own a home and work in the city. Brockton is my whole life. I sent 2 kids through Brockton High. I'm for the casino. I think Brockton needs exactly what she said. I'd just like to tell a quick story. I don't think the kids walking by the casino will be harmed in any way. I occasionally go to the casino with my husband. We raised our kids when my daughter was about 9 years old. I told her I could take her shopping wherever she wanted for her birthday. She wanted, to my surprise, she wanted to go to Mohegan Sun. So I said, well, okay. So I took her to Mohegan Sun for the whole day. We shopped. We ate up above where she could look down and see the casino and the people playing and the slot machines and everything. And then we went over to Foxwoods, and I showed her that too. We didn't go into the casino area because you're not allowed to be in there if you're underage. When I came home, I overheard her telling her brother not to worry about growing up because there was Chuck E. Cheese for grown-ups out there, and it would be fun to be a grown-up someday. I do believe it would be a good thing for the city to have the casino. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Nancy King. I have been a resident of Brockton for about 40 years now. And to my delight, I am so proud of the people who have already spoken for the opposition to the casino. I live down on off West Street. Yesterday, I counted 47 cars go by as I tried to go from my street to make a right-hand turn. And if you want to make a left-hand turn, you just cannot do it. That was 47 cars on a regular, well, almost regular weekend day. If the traffic gets worse, I can only wonder how long I will sit there. I do have to say that I don't want to be redundant, so I'm editing as I go along. I was very impressed with the lady who spoke in pink and said the same thing. You know, I don't want to waste your time. But please consider the number of people who are here today. The meeting was at 4 o'clock. People who work are still at work. We can't get a lot of people here at this time. Consider also the numbers that came up in the original vote by the city on the casino. The opposition lost by 140 votes. And speaking often with people from the senior center, they said to me, well, the signs were everywhere. Everybody was talking about you have to vote for the casino. So we did not bother to vote. And I know several of the people who wrote to you handed their papers through me to you. And they said that in their letters. We just didn't bother to vote, but we don't want a casino. And so the numbers, whether it's the time of day or whether it's the merchandising and the high pressure, influence the people who are not always able to or willing to do all the homework and do all the reading and hear something more than just what people want them to hear. If you say a $50,000 a year job to the people of Brockton, they think that's incredible. Oh, but wait a minute, somebody could have a $70,000 a year job. What does that do to the job that I have? It's an average salary. Am I going to get $35,000 to clean the bathrooms or to sweep the floors? So we need to help the people who aren't here, who can't always be here, but who will be so impacted by what you say and do. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Good afternoon. I'm Vivian Senator. I've lived here in Brockton since 1977, and I've been a homeowner since 1981. I've raised my son here. And I would like to just address a couple of things that I don't think I've heard anybody talk about yet, which is comparing the locations of the other existing casinos that have been built to the Brockton location. So I would like to address Rivers Casino first in Des Plaines, Illinois. It's conveniently located 3.5 miles from O'Hare Airport. It's off an interstate highway in a commercial area across from Preston Lake. Its neighbors are the Marriott, the Hilton, and Hyatt hotels that are serving travelers to and from O'Hare Airport. It's fronted by acres of wooded parkland. Its closest neighbors or neighborhoods are across the interstate. The crime rate in Des Plaines in 2013, which is the last time that I was able to find a rating, was 97.6 compared to the U.S. average of 294.5. Now, when you look at the Brockton Fairgrounds site, it's 26 miles from Logan Airport. It's 51 miles from TF Green Airport. It's in the middle of residential neighborhoods, as you can see. It's surrounded by the West Branch Library, Brockton High School, West Junior High, CVS, Stop and Shop, and all the other places that we frequent here in our community. It's separated from the surrounding neighborhoods by 2-lane roads, not interstates. And the crime rate in Brockton, unfortunately, was 538.5, which is almost double the U.S. average of 294. I wonder how the term destination location can be applied to this site. Now, in addition, there's also Rivers Casino in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's on the scenic and historic Ohio River in a commercial area. It's off Route 65. The neighborhoods are separated by a 6-lane highway. Sugar House Casino in Philadelphia. It's on the scenic Delaware River. It's separated by its neighborhoods by a 6-lane thoroughfare. Ladies and gentlemen, there's no comparison to be made between Brockton and these other locations. I have plenty to say, but I'm looking at the clock. All I will tell you right now is that I really, really hope that you will consider not approving this casino in this location. It doesn't fit. The people who live in Ward 1 voted 2-1 against it. That does not bode well for putting a casino here. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Larry Curtis, John McMullen, Paul Sousey.
Good afternoon. I'm a resident of Brockton. My name is Paul Sousey. I live about half a mile from the casino, the proposed casino. I've been a resident of Brockton for 55 years, and my office, I'm a retired dentist, was in East Bridgewater. I've lived there most of my life. My 3 children have all gone to Brockton High School, all graduated. And at this point, I consider the possibility of a casino like everybody else. I think, unfortunately, we were misled from the beginning, not knowing that we had the compact between the former governor and the Mashpee Indians pre-designed before we even discussed it in this city. It's unfortunate. But I do have some thoughts about this. First of all, the residents of Brockton had no idea that the Valpatrick had worked this out with the Mashpee Indians, this compact. And so it really divided Brockton in many ways, unfortunately. The federal government has made a decision to allow them to become a reservation. I would assume that the place that they would be located would be where the reservation was, which would be in Mashpee, not in Taunton. Apparently, for some reason, they consider it a more desirable place to be in Taunton. It's not very fair, but it has been done by the federal government, and it's in your hands to make a decision even further in this area. Brockton still is a better location as far as I'm concerned, but I have a thought before I'm finished, which might be worth considering. The Brockton Casino would pay the state the full percentage, which is, whereas the Mashpee group would only pay 17% of their monies to the state. The remaining profit would stay in this country with the Brockton Casino. However, as the Globe pointed out, the money that comes from the casino in Taunton will go to a Malaysian group, and the contract written with the city of Brockton, or at least with the Mashpee Indians, the contract says that the contract is indefinite, so they can continue to control, in every respect, the way the casino runs in Taunton. Also, profit would go out of the city, out of the state, out of the United States. I think we're sending enough money as it is to China. I don't think we need more money going to the Middle East or certainly not to Asia. In the same group, by the way, the same group originally sponsored.
Your time, sir.
I'm sorry. I'll go to my completion then.
Very quickly.
Okay. I have a friend who used to call Brockton the armpit of the South Shore. Was he right? I don't think so. I'm going to offer you another suggestion before I leave.
Sorry, thank you. We're going to have to cut you off. If you want to submit your comments to us, you're welcome to it. We'd like to see them. Marcia Lindsay, Paul Cripps, Larry Curtis.
My name is John McMullen. Good afternoon, Commissioner Crosby and your fellow commissioners. My name is John McMullen. I am a business agent with the Plumbers and Pipe Fitters Local 51. I am also Vice President of the Brockton and Vicinity Building Trades Council. I stand here today before you to urge you, the Gaming Commission, to grant the Regency license to Mass Gaming and Entertainment. The Brockton and Vicinity Building Trades Council supports Mass Gaming and Entertainment application for the Regency gaming license. The members of the Brockton and Vicinity Building Trades would ask the Commission to award the Regency license to Mass Gaming and Entertainment. The Building Trades Council has been in negotiations with Mass Gaming and Entertainment and is on the verge of coming to a comprehensive agreement covering the construction of this important facility. The PLA, or Project Labor Agreement, will guarantee labor harmony throughout the construction process and will facilitate the employment of Brockton area craftsmen and craftswomen throughout its construction. On behalf of the Brockton and Vicinity Building Trades, I would like to thank the Commission for their time and look forward to a favorable recommendation moving forward so that Brockton and the surrounding communities may begin enjoying the benefits of this new economic development. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Marcia Lindsay. I've been a resident of Brockton, a mile up the street all my life, as well as my father was born in the house that I live in now. I've never been to a meeting of this sort. The only thing I know is what I've read in the Enterprise, and I'm not happy with that. I must say that a few weeks ago, I was sitting in traffic on Forest Avenue, heading west, sitting in traffic, and it was time for school to be out. And heading east on Forest Avenue, 19 school buses passed by as I sat there waiting. And I'm sure there are just as many school buses that were going in the other direction. This is not to mention the number of students at Brockton High School who have cars who are leaving at the same time, nor the teachers and the people that work at Brockton School, nor the children that have to walk to school. This happens 4 times a day as the buses enter in the morning and leave, as the bus enters in the afternoon and leave. Not only is there a school, there's another school, as you all know, I don't need to tell you this, but there's also a church right around the corner where funerals are held at least twice a week, and there are funeral processions where everything stops. Now, I live up the street. Am I going to come down this way to do my shopping? Am I going to go to the mall? No. I'm going to go out of town, and that's not good for the business of Brockton. So I am firmly, as well as being a church member and against gambling anyway, I am very disappointed that this group is going to give $10 million to the city. How much are they going to take out of the city and take away from the city while they're giving maybe $10 million? So please vote against this. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name's Larry Curtis. I am a resident, I'm a homeowner, I'm a taxpayer, and I am a voter here in the city of Brockton. While I've only lived in the city of Brockton for 18 years, I chose to come here 18 years ago and raise my family, and I have no regrets about that decision going forward. A couple of comments I want to make on some of the previous testimony we heard here this afternoon. In relationship to the Ward 1 gentleman who voted no, well, 5 out of 7 of our wards voted yes. So that trumps his 1 no. in the relationship to the 148 voters 148 votes that voted yes, above and beyond those that voted no. This was an election that was called for by the Regulatory Gaming Commission. And like any election, as one of those voters, I expect that the results of that election to be upheld, and that was that the registered voters who chose to come out and voted yes for Brockton, and we want to see this destination resort come to our city. Okay. In relationship to the jobs, yes, the woman made a valid point. They're all not going to be $50,000 jobs. They might be 30,000 or 50 or 70,000 jobs in the aggregate overall, but those are jobs that don't exist today. And if just 75% of those jobs come to our city, that is going to generate $33 million of earned revenue coming in to the people who live here, let alone the additional 25% that may not be going to our residents. That alone will have a significant economic impact, not only to the residents who live here, but to the surrounding businesses and community as well. And when you look at the city seal has three prominent words on it when it was established in 1881. It is education, it is industry, and it is progress. Well, industry is what is the foundation of this city going back to the shoe factory. It is what made the City of Champions great. Unfortunately today, we're in a different era, and we don't have any bursting industry out there today that we can bring in or continue to support out there. It has gone overseas, or it has just become too expensive from that perspective. So we are not an industrial city per se anymore. But our education has always been at the forefront. And our education took a pretty darn slap in the face last month when the Department of Education said, let's allow charter schools in the city of Brockton. And it's going to have a significant impact of $10 million going into fiscal year 2017. The last piece is progress. To me, progress is recognizing when a private investor wants to come into the city of Brockton and invest $675 million of their own money in a project that they deem is a profitable opportunity for them. And then when you add up all the pluses and the minuses for the city in itself, let alone what you do as the Gaming Commission for the Commonwealth, this is a win for everybody in this room tonight, and I hope that you take that into consideration and vote yes for Brockton.
Thank you. Marsha Lindsay, Paul Cripps, Jack Lalvey, Chris Mijos. Yep.
I'm Jack Valley. You want me to go after?
No, go ahead.
Hi, my name's Jack Valley. I'm a counselor here in Brockton, and I'm here in favor of the casino. I feel that it can provide us a source of revenue we desperately need. As was previously mentioned, we are millions of dollars. We need to make up millions of dollars here. We need the money, really. And if you look around, as other people have urged you to, Brockton High, other schools nearby, library, that's a sign of the money we need. We need to keep these schools open. The charter school coming in, the proposed redistribution of how they hand out money, Chapter 70 money, education money, would lose Brockton $6 million a year. We need the jobs. We need the employment. They have offered us, the casino has offered us $10 million a year, which is massive, or 2.5% of their earnings, whichever is higher. So Brockton stands to benefit either way. In response to the streets nearby, we're going to, the casino, the group, they're going to put money towards that. They're going to put money towards police officers, towards fighters. And I'm not a criminal, I swear, but if I were going to commit a crime, I would not commit a crime in an area with high traffic, a lot of security cameras, and a ton of people walking around who could see it and act as witnesses towards it. I urge you to accept and vote in favor of this casino, not only for the city of Brockton, for the surrounding communities, and really, as was discussed, our future. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Chris Mayos, property owner in Brockton, businessman, and I don't think anybody's really come up here as a businessman and spoken how I think this can only be good for business, primarily in the Belmont Street area and the west side of Brockton. You know, it could only be good for business. And one thing about the city is businesses pay about twice the rate as residences in the city, somewhere around $33 a thousand, I think it is now. And we deserve, you know, I think we need to improve the city for our benefit as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian McLaughlin, Kevin, is it Cornan or Kernan?
Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Brian McLaughlin. I grew up in Stoke. I used to come to Brockton as a kid and cruise the drag, and we had Kennedy's downtown Main Street, as most of the folks here remember. It was booming, coming at Christmas time with my mother. I lived in Brockton for 5 years in my early 20s. I founded the company D'Angelo Sandwich Shop, which was founded basically in Brockton. We had a bakery here. I've seen the community grow and thrive, and I've seen it go backwards a lot. I currently am the owner of the Shaw's Plaza across from with the proposed casino and the PetSmart and the Staples. The taxes there are over $500,000. We are struggling to keep the tenants there. Staples is 1 year at a time, is renewing its lease. I think that the casino would help bring some business, bring extra traffic. And Shaw's business is off like 35% from when it's peak. So those are crucial, and it's selfishly, yeah, to me and for my real estate investment there. As far as the casino goes, it offers a substantial amount of jobs, 1,200, 1,500. I was in the food business my whole life. I started as a, working part-time. It helped give me the integrity and some of the energy and the opportunities to grow with what I was able to do. So I think it's a great, the fact that, yes, there is, you have to, watch your kids. They can't go in a casino. They shouldn't be drinking underage, et cetera, and hope that that you will make sure that obviously that's not going to happen. But I think that there's a lot of opportunities for beginning jobs that will help people get on their feet and get started. So thank you, and I am a proponent for it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My name's Kevin Kernan. I'm a lifelong resident of Brockton. I am not a gambler, but however, I am in favor of this project. I find that most people are focusing way too much on the casino and not on the other aspects of this project. Hotel, entertainment complex, restaurants, shops, other things that will bring people to this city. Not to mention the jobs it's going to create by building the complex, as well as the people working at the complex. Right now, Brockton is nothing but an exit off of Route 24 that people more often than not will pass. Okay, this city is fighting for its very survival right now. If you read the news, there is more negative things about Brockton than there are positive. It's about time we turn that around. This is an opportunity for this city to change its image, to be a place where people want to come to, and not just another exit off of Route 24. Right now, you 5 people have the fate of the very future of Brockton in your hands. And it's up to you to determine whether we're another exit or we're a place that people actually off that exit and come to. Thank you.
Plato Spilios, Van Thomas Straight or Strawn, Craig Pena.
Good afternoon, committee.
Good afternoon.
I've been a resident of Brockton for 13 years.
What's your name, sir?
Van Thomas Strata. I just want to echo one thing this lady over here said, to have a meeting at 4 o'clock when most people are trying to get off, get their kids, get home, and get here is truly unfair. Truly unfair to the people who live in this community. Number two, I've been in law enforcement for 35 years. There is a downside when you bring in. You're going to have an increase in crime because that's part and parcel of what happens. You're going to have more people in the courts, and then you're looking at the amount of people that are going to be processed. I see what happens when the fair goes in Brockton. You can't get down West Street. You can't get down Belmont Street. I understand Brockton needs money. I understand that we need to grow. But can you guarantee the jobs that I've heard 1,500 are going to Brockton residents, or are they going to go to area residents? Because there's a difference. We're paying the biggest cost sitting right here. How many of those jobs are guaranteed for Brockton residents? What's going to happen when crime goes up? Because it is going to go up. And unlike the gentleman who says, yes, he's not a criminal, but people do things amazingly in public areas. I've seen it for 35 years. Continue to talk any further because I think some of the people who've expressed their concerns, I truly support and agree. I think that you need to think clearly about this. I think this is the wrong move. Yes, Brockton has to go, but this is not the direction we need to go in. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for the record, we will be here until 6 o'clock. We won't leave before 6. Sir.
Good afternoon. My name's Craig Pina. I live on 21 Bassett Road, probably less than a half mile away from where we stand right now. And I've heard a lot of the other concerns from residents earlier today. And I have a daughter who's in 10th grade right over there at Brockton High School, and I have another daughter who's in 6th grade at West Middle School, and they both walk to and from school. One of my daughters walks past what's the fairgrounds right now. And my thought is, do I want my daughter walking past what will be a casino twice a day? And my question is, why wouldn't I want my daughter walking by a place that's going to be filled with 1,500 closed-circuit TV cameras and security? She'll be 100 times safer. And when I hear the traffic concerns, I haven't heard anyone mention today the $10 million in traffic improvements that will, again, make my daughter's walk 100 times safer than it is today. So I stand fully in support of the casino in that respect. About a year ago today, previous to today, I was sitting in this very same room at a presentation from Rush Street Gaming, and someone had spoken to me and said, "Well, why don't you do yourself a favor and call some of the other host communities and see how they feel about it?" I called the president, the chairman of the Board of Aldermen in Des Plaines, Illinois. I called the counselor who's counseled the casino sit-in in both Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. And the consensus I got from those people, even from people who were adamantly opposed to the casino in those communities, is that Neil Bloom is a man of his word. He does hire local employees. He does do business with local companies. And the economic impact that has had in those communities is invaluable. The chairman of the Board of Aldermen could not say a bad word about Rivers Casino because the money that they get from Rivers Casino enables them to balance their budget. It prevents them from having to make the cuts that they would ordinarily have to make if they didn't have money coming in. This is what the city of Brockton needs, and I'm sure you'll hear other people say it. You've heard other people say that we need the revenue from this. Aside from the revenue, the economic impact of the salaries from employees, about $35 million, and the support for local businesses in the local contracts. And as I've heard from the elected officials in Des Plaines, Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh, is that their incentive cards, their Rush gaming cards, they actually support local businesses. They don't hurt local businesses. They work very closely with the community. Why do they work closely with the community? Because they hire local and they are the community. So I urge you to vote in favor of awarding the Regency Casino license to Rush Street Gaming.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Platos Spilios from Krellin and Service. Back in 2013, fourth generation business, we had a decision to make. We outgrew our facility in South Boston, Fall River. We looked for a new location. We chose Brockton. Brockton has been terrific to us. We brought 110 jobs here. and the progress that we made, the investment we made in the community, $20 million, we are looking forward to hopefully more opportunity and partnering up with casino if they do come here. And with that being said, I don't live here. I do own property. I don't live here. So I defer to many of the residents on traffic issues. However, it takes a lot of work to make progress. Closing 2 old plants, building a new plant, moving here was very difficult, a lot of challenges, but it was worth the effort. I hope everyone thinks about that and they consider the same. And we support progress, as I said, and we hope you do too. And support yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Clancy, I think it is, Christopher Cooney, Paul LaPierre. Any of you folks?
How are you?
Good
Jack
evening.
Clancy. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Okay. A couple of comments. One of the comments, and it's from the last time too, in this meeting also, and I understand people concerned about the kids. I've been divorced for 21 years. My daughter's 28 years old. I got more calluses on that thumb than most people have on their hands from working in construction. Because as a father, I knew when I had my daughter not to let her run wild. Keep an eye on her at all times. And we lived 85 miles away from each other for 21 years. She's still in my life on a daily basis. I know almost her itinerary for the whole week because we communicate. I explain to her, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. And that's my opinion about being a parent. To me, it's one of the best jobs in the world, but you have to do the job. If you're not going to do the job, then you have the problem. The casino don't have the problem, but you have the problem. My other point is this. The city of Brockton needs it. There's no getting around it. Brockton is going down. It's going down fast, and it's going to go down faster come July 1st. Once again, I'm going to state that a vote is a vote. Whether it's 148 or one vote, it's still a vote. A vote's a vote, and that's how you're raised. That's how you're taught in classes at Brockton High School about the how you people and you elect people by votes. We don't cancel that person because the opposition said, well, we didn't get out there and vote. That person still goes to the office whether you want him to go there or not. To me, I think the casino's the same way. And the money that this casino is going to bring in to the city of Brockton, they're going to do an unbelievable job. Because right now, you have dollar stores, corner store ministries, and CVS's and Dunkin' Donuts. How much are they bringing in? This place is going to bring in a boatload. It's going to change the whole city around. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Chris Cooney. I'm President of Metro South Chamber of Commerce. We represent about 1,000 companies in and around the city of Brockton, 500 of them here and 500 in the surrounding communities. Our Chamber Board of Directors voted unanimously to support this project for two reasons, I would say. The $675 million investment is a huge catalyst to jobs and development. It also diversifies our entertainment options here and their investment overall in the community. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for us to put us on the map, attract dollars and people to the city that we have never seen. It also can serve to be additional business to our 5 existing hotels that are in the city and another 6 or 8 that are in the surrounding areas and are planned for the region. This means $12 million to our schools, and that is huge for our young people and for our career development. We also are looking at millions of dollars of support to nonprofits. So, you know, we backed this a while back, but about 6 weeks ago I had a chance to go out to Des Plaines. I went on my own with one consultant that I had brought along with me, a friend, and we experienced the casino in a pretty comprehensive way. We got there on Sunday morning, and of course, the casino is open 22 hours a day. It closes 2 hours, so we get about 9 a.m. And it looked like a Panera bread, only an upscale Panera bread. As you stood in the center of the building, you could see all 4 exits. It was a very controlled and pleasant atmosphere with great restaurants and great food, breakfast items. We stayed there for 2 days, and we were at the hotel a little bit up the street, walked back and forth, talked to the hotel owners, met with the chamber officials there, met with the city officials, public safety folks. We also met with some of the church leaders and the homeless shelter folks. And I can't begin to tell you how positive the comments were across the board. It really was encouraging for me to feel so positive about the vote that we had taken and that the city has taken for the introduction of this casino. I'll also, I guess, conclude with the fact that of all the casino partners that we could have partnered with, Rush Street Gaming has a fantastic reputation nationally. You know from your vetting process, they're second to none. They're the envy of any community. They do what they say what they do. They are architects and engineers more than gaming folks, and they are entertainment developers. So all of that contributes to a very positive aspect for the city. I'll just conclude by saying I urge you to vote favorably upon this, issue the license in Region C to Mass Gaming, and I think we'll all be pleasantly surprised. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Commissioner, board members, my name is Paul Lapierre. I'm a lifelong resident of the city of Brockton. I'd like to share with you a scenario that that I deal with on an annual basis. I've been a commercial property owner in the city of Brockton for over 30 years, and what used to be a $6,000 a year bill is now $27,000 a year. So that being said, that's a good sign of the situation that Brockton is in trying to stabilize their tax base, which they've had a tough time doing, struggling to keep that in check, and it all lands on the taxpayers' backs. This resort casino is a huge blessing knocking on the door of the city of Brockton. We need to answer that door, answer that call. I ask you, I plead with you to award us this license. Thank you.
Thank you. Adriano Cabral, Reverend Mark Oliver, Bob Emery. Are you one of those folks? I'm one of those. Oh, it doesn't matter. Come right up.
Commissioners, my name is Mark Oliver. I'm a pastor in the community, also a resident of the city of Brockton. I've had the opportunity to visit different places as well. Visited the Atlantic City, had a chance to interview individuals. Also friends in Connecticut, also talked with some leaders in Connecticut. I'm originally from the Philadelphia area, and I've talked to folks in the Philadelphia area. And most folks will say that the initial years were wonderful. They were beneficial, they're exciting, people were enthusiastic. What every one of the folks who I've interviewed recently, if there was a common theme, common word, some government people, some just local residents, some clergy, pastors would say betrayed. There is again and again, we know the city of Atlantic City is fighting bankruptcy. We know the state of Connecticut continues to fight having to renegotiate the arrangements with the gaming companies there. And there's no reason to believe that very soon that will be the same case in the city of Philadelphia. And the amazing thing is we're talking about communities who have a lot more leverage than the city of Brockton. It will be a tough fight, and while there'll be a great honeymoon, there will be a time where we will be right back where we started from, because this is not the kind of industry that you bring revitalization. If your assignment is to bring more income to this Commonwealth, then it doesn't really matter where you put a casino, that will happen. But if your assignment is also to be concerned about revitalization long term, this is not the place for a casino. Thank you.
Good afternoon, I'm Bob Emery. I was born in Brockton, went to Brockton schools. I moved out for a while. I lived in East Bridgewater and Middleborough, and about 5.5 years ago I moved back to Brockton. And I'm very, very concerned with this for a number of reasons. I won't go into some of it. The crime has been covered by a law enforcement man with more experience in that than I have. But in most cases, crime is going to go up. It goes hand in hand with it, like the man said. There now, a casino is a business killer. People are not going to leave the casino when everything's in the casino they could want. Brockton isn't a destination community. We don't have a beach. We don't have a great lake or anything like that. Residential real estate prices overall in the city will fall. I made up a chart based on studying the results of other reports I have read from other areas. If you're within a quarter mile, you could expect a minimum 25% drop in residential property values the first 3 years. After that, who knows where it's going to go. And the amount descends. But overall, that is going to continue right through the city. That means when you go to revalue, you're going to lose that tax income. People don't want to have to fight to get out of their driveway. They don't want to have to fight to get to the highway to get to work. They don't want to listen to the traffic all day long and all night long and people blowing their horns and yelling at each other because they're in a hurry to go in and lose their money. I am not opposed to casinos per se. I love to gamble at times. But I don't think this is going to, in the short term, yeah, like the pastor said before me, this will bring some money to the city. But in the long run, it's going to cost us money, and we're going to have more people on there. It just isn't going to do the thing. A couple of things that haven't been talked about. I don't know if they're planning to the hotel rooms. If they think a lot of people are going to come and stay at the hotel initially, maybe they will. One of the things casinos like to do, if you are lucky enough and you win pretty big, they'll comp you. They'll give you a complimentary suite and food and things like that. They don't want you to leave with the money. They want to keep you there so that you can go and gamble some more and then get their money back. That's almost universal. And eventually, maybe they'll end up renting the rooms to the state, and the homeless people can go in there, which will bring more homeless people attracted to Brockton and more of a strain on the services that we already have. Many of the hotels in Brockton now, their main customers are homeless people, and I've got nothing against homeless people, but it's a strain on the services. We don't get extra money for the other things. Lastly, you're going to have, Brockton has a lot of what's called working poor people. These people feel some desperation. They may see the casino, this is my chance to strike it rich. They have kids in school. Some of those kids, if I were a teacher, even if this cost me my job, I'd...
Thank you. I'm sorry, your time is up.
I have a graph for you. I'll
All right,
leave it with you.
You're welcome to leave that. Or, okay, great. Thank you, that's very interesting.
Good evening. My name is Adriano Cabral, and I wanted to say that I'm here to support the proposed casino. I heard a lot of concerns, claims about traffic, addiction, Brockton High School location, and so forth. I am a resident for 16 years. My children go to Brockton High School. If someone asks me, are you concerned? I would say definitely not. I think some of our supporters here for the proposed casino said the same thing, so I don't need to repeat that. I think as parents, we have a lot of our responsibilities. I am very much highly concerned about the youth of Brockton, and I see the mayor, Mr. Mayor Bill Carpenter, every year, I think for the past 3 years, trying to bring the community who cannot afford to pay after-school program for the kids. And probably, I think, to beyond 100, 200 and 300. He doesn't have the funds. He wants to do things. We have new population of Brockton. Brockton is now known to become the population where the majority of the population is the new population with a lot of barriers. Language, understanding the system, knowing how to get around. So those folks need something that is designed to address their specific needs. And this is it. This is it. If someone is talking about job, they don't think job is important, it's because they don't need it. A lot of the people here work in Boston, and probably their kids go to school somewhere else. Our kids go to school in Brockton, and they need something to succeed just like any other kids. So I am in favor for the proposed casino in Brockton because I believe it will bring what the community of Brockton needs to succeed. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Other people whose names I've read before: Isabel Lopez, Bianca Gutierrez, Stephen O'Brien, Marsha Lindsay spoke, I think, right? Or Paul Cripps, I don't think, spoke. Another one? And Elaine Dunneman. Good evening.
Good. I'm a resident of Brockton.
Pull
and
the
I'd
mic
like
down to your mouth just a little bit more. There you go.
Hi, I am a resident of Brockton, and I am pro-casino because Brockton needs help. We need the money. We need to bring something in that's pro-business, and I believe the casino is pro-business. My property taxes have risen $100 a month for this fiscal year, $300 a quarter. And I also know that Brockton is disadvantaged by reduced state aid to the city, especially for education. We also didn't get approved for our downtown campus that we were hoping for the joint project with Massasoit, Bridgewater, and UMass. So that was a go to the city. And we desperately need something here. And the people of Brockton voted for the casino, and so there may be arguments for, there may be arguments against, but I believe that we should have our casino should be allowed to sink or swim on its own merits because we voted for it and we wanted it. And there's something about that vote that I'd like to express, and that's that anyone who's gone on Facebook, social media, knows that people are much more likely to get all riled up and speak up about things they're against, things that no. Unfortunately, we tend to live in a negative society. Therefore, I would say please don't be discouraged by the victory for the casino by a slim margin, because anyone who didn't go out and say no in the city should be considered that they're against the casino. If they're not against it, they're for it. So I know there was a slim margin of those who did go out and vote, but there's a huge number of people who did not take the time to go out and say no, they're not against it, and the city desperately needs it. I know there's another concern, people concerned with traffic. Studies have shown that casinos don't negatively or significantly negatively impact a community's traffic because they're a 24-hour or almost cycle that does not bring a surge of traffic at any one given time. Now, it's a private property. The owner has made it clear they are going to develop that property. Something's going to go there, and there are things that could impact the traffic in the area much more negatively by being concentrated during a specific time. If they put up lots of office buildings, forget about rush hour, it's going to be a nightmare. If they put in a shopping center, forget about Saturday, nightmare. But studies have shown that casino traffic tends to be very gradual and spread out and not, have that surge that has a real impact. So I'm beseech you to please give casino a chance. We want it and we're for it, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Brian Curavan and Chris Lovater.
Good afternoon, committee members. My name is Brian Caravan. I took time out of my busy day in May of 2015 to cast my vote. I mean, I walked through the city, knocking on doors, signs, and I got some no answers. But as the vote turned out, I got more yes answers, yes votes than no votes. People want to change the outcome of the vote. It's already done, after it's already cast. They have the opportunity to vote no. If the no vote won, would we be here? I don't know. I was told it was one and done. If we lost, we're out. My vote, along with the people vote, the city voted yes. On a location where it's to go. This is private property. The county fair army could sell it to whoever they choose. Maybe a dump, maybe a wrecking yard. Why not a resort casino? Why not the people of Brockton benefits of this? On kids, underage gamblers, I hear. What teens want is privacy. They don't want cameras. They don't want security personnel looking over their shoulders. I moved here in the city of Brockton in 1976 with 11 brothers and sisters. And mom and dad were the teachers of right and wrong. It wasn't the government, it wasn't Jimmy Carter, it wasn't this panel. You know, moral values instilled by the parents. No, I don't have a pulpit, I can't preach to a congregation. I'm just a single person with a single vote. I voted yes. I hope you guys take this under consideration, that little Johnny is not going to be spending his milk money on snake eyes. It just doesn't work that way. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Christopher Lovater. I don't have much time. I'll speak quickly. Casinos are for desperate cities with no hope, no history, no family community, and no identity. That's not the Brockton that I know. Brockton is the 7th largest city in Massachusetts. Brockton is the city of champions. That's right. This casino proposal has already clearly divided the city right in half at a time when we need to unite. Because yes, Brockton has some problems, but as a community, we can solve our problems together. We've done it for over 100 years, which is much longer than the Brockton Fair has been in existence. What is proposed this year is an entertainment playground for the adults. When they say the vote has already happened, 25% of the people most directly affected by this casino proposal did not get a chance to vote. And that is the people that are under age 18. They're the ones that will be going into that casino to gamble illegally. They assure me it happens at every casino. They promise it will happen here too. We have the most dangerous intersection in Massachusetts at the corner of Plain Street at the entrance to the Westgate Mall. Traffic coming from the north to go to this casino will be funneled right through that dangerous intersection. We have had many pedestrian deaths in Brockton. Citizens and residents of Brockton know that. That will only increase. To take credit for what was already going to happen to improve traffic flow in Brockton. The state was already investing the money to improve that area around the site of the location. It's a disgrace what you're doing to the Indians, suing the American Indians. We tried to exterminate them. We tried to exterminate them. We owe them reparations. That's the casino in Taunton. Your phony lawsuit. Your frivolous lawsuit
Mr.
is
Levitaire,
costing them money.
Mr.
Is my
Levitaire,
time up?
you're speaking to us, please.
I'm sorry.
You're almost out of time.
Okay. I'll finish. We will never stop fighting for our city. We will never surrender. We will never surrender. Brockton's strong, much stronger than Boston. We are a city of fighters. We have not yet begun to fight.
Thank you. That's everybody that we have signed up for the moment. We will be here until 6 o'clock, so other people will have a chance to come. For those of you who have already spoken, I want to say that for the most part, we're most appreciative of passionate but thoughtful and fair commentary, and we appreciate all of you who have come out and expressed your powerful, in most cases, feelings to us. So we're going to take a break and wait and see if other people sign up, and then we'll come back in a few minutes. All right. It's just about a quarter of. We do have a few more speakers. Commissioner McDonald had to go up to Boston for dinner at which he's being honored. He will watch the last few minutes of this on our recorded video, which is being streamed live now and will be recorded on our website. So I have Ann Rogers.
Good afternoon. My name is Ann Rogers. I wanted to ask some questions of you, if you answer questions in this context.
I'm sorry to say we do not. This is not a question and answer period, but you're welcome to ask them, and we'll think about them, or you can write them, and sometimes we respond in writing.
I'll ask you if you're going to, and urge you to do, a new economic analysis of the feasibility of this casino being profitable, assuming Taunton has a casino, and assuming, and also not assuming, you'd go both ways on an analysis, that Tiverton will have a casino. I wanted to, can you tell me if you plan to do that?
This is not a question and answer period, no.
Sorry.
We will be describing in multiple places what our mechanism is. And I said earlier that there is an evaluation period at the end of the month, but we're not going to go back and forth with
Then
that.
I urge you to do that analysis, along with the Boston Globe having urged you to do it. Just another point that was at the last meeting that I think would factor in, I hope would factor in, is the casino going up in Everett, which someone said at the last meeting, I think it was one of the experts from the developers team, said that people would get in their cars and drive here to go to the casino from Boston. And as a 35-year resident of Boston, I'm here to tell you what people in Boston do is get on the T, and they can go to Everett on the T and without getting in their cars and driving here. So I don't want to see Brockton become what would be worse than the problems they have now, another Atlantic City. I think your studies will probably show that it's not going to be feasible for them to make a profit, given the possibility or the reality of those other casinos. Well, the reality, I guess. So I urge you not to issue this license. Thank you.
Thank you. I meant to say that somebody left keys. There's a big set of keys along with a what do you call these things? The carabiner, right? If you can identify somehow or other, they're up here. Gary Leonard or Gary Keith.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Gary Leonard, lifelong resident here in the city of Brockton, and just like to have a rebuttal on a few of the statements that were made here tonight. First of all, I work very close with the Brockton High School, right across the way here. I'm the PA announcer for the high school football games. I'm in and out of there, whether I'm coming or going, within 5 minutes. We don't have any that I know of altercations in that area whatsoever. and the traffic flow is just fine. I also heard someone speak about real estate values. He might know exactly what he's talking about, but I've been a real estate salesperson in this city for 47 years, and my dad for 48 before me. We always done our due diligence, and we kind of see that the equitable value in these properties actually are gaining steam now that the noticeability of a casino would be coming to Brockton. So again, I cannot agree with that statement. The third thing is we talk about the constituency here in Brockton, who's for and who's against. Well, I'm pretty much out there in the community. I belong to 11 different charitable organizations. I'm also the past president and member of the Save Our Sports Committee for the Brockton High School. The kids in Brockton do not have to pay to play sports. We pick up that tab and we try to pay for things that the city of Brockton cannot pay for. And last year, the school department had to come to our committee and ask for $50,000 to keep the after-school programs going, to which we did help. So I hear a lot of this rhetoric here tonight, and I do understand a lot of people in the religious field, exactly how they feel, and I never would ever try to convince them otherwise. Their feelings are their feelings. But as being the 2006 champion of the city, people believed in me then, and I hope they believe in me now, that the casino is nothing but good for the city of Brockton. It's something we need. And I'm also presently the Main Streets manager under the National Main Streets program, which is for the development and the reassurance of changing perception and image and redeveloping the city of Brockton. And I definitely need this to come through in order for me to do what my duty is to my constituency and my fellow people and citizens of Brockton. And I want to thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, sir. Next up, Gary Keith.
Good afternoon. I missed the last few meetings that you had, even though I followed them on Brockton Access Channel. And I made it a point to make sure I came out here today just to put my 2 cents in on this. The thing is that for all this to keep going on, right, to me it seems like you guys are hesitant to give a license to Brockton. And as far as I'm looking at it right now, it's like you guys are giving up on Brockton. But one thing you don't know is how we are. I'm over a 25-year resident of the city of Brockton. My wife and I have raised 7 children in the city, and we know half of the city, okay? This is a city of champions. The thing about this casino vote that's going on, the people have voted, and they came out in favor of it. Doesn't matter if you win by 1 vote or 1,000 votes. A win is a win. And I think that for you guys to keep going back and forth through this, you're basically thinking that we can't handle ourselves. Again, this is the city of champions, okay? We know how to police ourselves. We know how to behave ourselves, okay? And this is something that is very much needed right now. One of our city officials at the last meeting said that we weren't desperate. We are desperate, not to just do anything, but we're desperate to be able to take care of ourselves, okay? The revenue that this is going to create for the city of Brockton is very much needed at this time here, okay? There's a lot of people that own their homes here in the city of Brockton. We can't just sell them and leave. We're looking for ways to make the quality of our living here in this city much better, and this casino will do it for us. Again, I'm a 2-time candidate for the councilor at large, and like I said, some people lose by 1 vote, some people lose by thousands. The voters have spoken, and you guys really need to honor that. Okay, as you can see, people keep coming out on both sides of the table. I understand where both sides of the table goes. Okay, I'm also a Christian in my church. I know there's a lot of church leaders that are against the casino, but no one's against gambling, okay, of playing bingo in the churches. I'm here right now as a Christian, as a family member, as a citizen, as a community activist. We are in desperate need of the casino, and it's something that we can go ahead and be proud of, and because we need it, we're going to take care of it. Okay, this is our city. This is where we live. This is our home, and we're not going to let any casino come in here and go down. We're going to watch it just as much as you guys are. So I'm hoping that you can take that into consideration and please give us the license for that casino. Thank you.
And Jean Holmes Kimmels.
Good evening. I spoke with you not too long ago, and I'm here to tell you that you should know about the people you're dealing with in regards to these applicants. I was the victim of bullying behavior that evening. I didn't know who the person was, but at the end of the evening, I walked out into the parking lot and I saw the man get into Mr. Carney's truck. So guess what? That's what you're dealing with. I was also similarly bullied when I went to the open house that they had in regards to employees and employment here with this organization. I respectfully urge you to look at these people, look what's going on. There have been thousands of emails that have been sent out using the Metro South Chamber of Commerce email address and everything to bring everybody in here to talk in favor of this. But these are people that have a job with the city, people that have an interest. I don't have an interest with anything. I'm not associated with the churches. The only interest I have is that I'm a resident of Ward 1, which is where this casino will be. And I know that last time Councilor Cruz spoke and he said he was a counselor for Ward 1. He didn't speak for and as a counselor for Ward 1. If you look at the vote, Ward 1 overwhelmingly rejected this casino because it will impact our quality of life. And in addition, one of the worst and most dangerous intersections in the state have been declared here in the city of Brockton, right down the street. And guess what? These folks here didn't even bother to examine that, to evaluate that, or even include that in their study. So there's no plan to mitigate the most dangerous intersection in this state for the casino people to come through, harm themselves, and harm us as residents. I urge you to seriously consider. Taunton overwhelmingly wanted this casino. The only reason that there's a lawsuit is because Mr. Bloom went forward and paid for it. He told you before in November that there was going to be a lawsuit. What he didn't tell you at the time was he planned to pay for it. I respectfully urge you to do your due diligence, do your consideration, and consider the fact that the tribe has indicated they're going forward, they're going to break ground, and that Taunton overwhelmingly wanted the casino. Give it to them. They overwhelmingly wanted it. The only people against it are the people that are being paid for by Mr. Bloom. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, once again, that's the end of people who have signed up. It's 5 minutes to 6. We will give 10 minutes for a wrap-up from the applicant, but I don't want to do it until 6 to make sure that no last-minute people come in to speak. So we'll take a 5-minute break and be back at 6 o'clock. And here are somebody's keys. We are ready to convene for the last time, I believe, the host community hearing in Brockton, and it is 6 o'clock, and no other speakers have come, so the applicant has the final 10 minutes to wrap up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. Let me just first comment on a couple of issues that came up today before a general conclusion. There has been opposition to every casino that we have developed. In Des Plaines, there was a vote, a referendum a few years before we got involved where they voted it down. And you heard comments about how the police, the whole community is very happy and there's been great economic development. In Philadelphia, it's been even more dramatic. There was more opposition to the Philadelphia casino by far than there is opposition to this one. Since we developed the property, which was on the river, but it was on an awful piece of dirt, an ugly site, the opposition has largely disappeared. The area is booming. If some of you have been down there, you'd see it. Property values are up. The whole area is doing terrific, and we couldn't be more pleased. A major entertainment facility just moved in across the street. So we're very, very thankful about that. With regard to jobs, I want to clarify that we have agreed to give preference, and even if we didn't in our host agreement, to citizens of Brockton who are qualified for jobs. They get first shot. Second shot would go to surrounding communities. So let me now go to just a summary of everything you've heard over the last month or two, and really in conclusion of what we think the most relevant issues are, okay? I don't think there's any question you have the authority to issue a license. You've already decided that, and it's clear under the statute. I think we all know that there are serious issues as to whether this land should remain or be put in trust because of the Carcieri decision and all of the other issues that are raised in the citizens' complaint. I want to point out that in the KG Urban case in the First Circuit said, and I'm going to quote here, that because of Carcieri, there are, quote, serious issues of whether the Secretary has any authority, absent congressional action, to take land in trust, end quote, for the masterpiece. This is the First Circuit Court decision. Genting, the financial backer, recognizes this risk. It's a high risk, and they have substantially reduced their investment in the project for phase one, assuming they do what they've said they would do. And that phase one is massively smaller. It's 45% of the gaming positions, no parking garage, no hotel, and limited road work improvements. That project, phase one, is not what the Commonwealth intended when this law was passed to have a resort casino in Region C. If there's 2 casinos in Region C, this market is not saturated. We showed you about a month ago the statistics of how many people there are in each place in relationship to the number of gaming positions, and assuming there are 2, us and the tribe, plus all the other casinos in the market, MGM, Wynn, Plain Ridge, there are far more people per position in Chicago, Detroit, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, St. Louis, and Philadelphia than there would be in this market. Spectrum's numbers, we don't think stand up, okay? The 3 firms you heard that we engaged, 2 of them, and not to make a presentation here, but to decide if we should go forward. They plus Innovation Group, their average is that the casinos, if there are 2 casinos in Region C, us and the tribe, our revenue would drop 19%. Spectrum projected 37%. And all of those numbers assumed a full tribal casino, not the reduced phase one. And by the way, somebody raised Tiverton. If Tiverton, of course we checked the numbers on Tiverton. I'm not going to lose my money if Tiverton opens. The impact of Tiverton is negligible as far as our project is concerned. I believe there's less than $10 million of revenue. Location is simply the key to any factor. The laws of gravity you heard don't change. And our project, as you know, is 17 miles off of Route 24. Tax advantages are helpful, but they don't change the overall dynamics. And I drove in here from Boston today on a rainy day. It didn't take us that long to get here, but when we got off of Route 24 and onto Belmont and came here, it took us 3 minutes to get to this location off of Route 24. Now, most importantly, I want to give you 2 examples of low tax rates where we're competing with, okay, and how we've done versus low tax rates when we've had a better location. Let's start out with the Chicago market, where Des Plaines is, okay? Downtown Chicago is equidistant to the casinos in Indiana, right over the border in Hammond, same distance as it is to our casino in Des Plaines. Indiana tax rates for the highest, there are graduated rates, but the highest paying casino, their tax rates are over 10% lower than the tax rate that we pay at our casino, which is equidistant to downtown Chicago, okay? We pay about 44%. They're somewhere less than 34 when you factor in they have don't pay tax on a certain amount of free play. In spite of that, we do almost 3 times the business per position than they do. Now let's talk, somebody raised Atlantic City, that they're having problems. So let's talk about Atlantic City for a minute versus Philadelphia. Atlantic City has a tax rate of just over 9%. Okay? They had a monopoly until Pennsylvania legalized gaming. Okay? The tax rates generally, I'd say for Philadelphia, range in the mid 40%. A massive difference, over 30% difference in tax rates, far more than the 17% that they're not paying and the 25% we pay. Okay? Since Philadelphia opened, you know Atlantic City has had nothing but problems, right? And the reason is that the main population base is closer to Philadelphia, and people are not going to drive. By the way, it's an hour drive, so it's not that radically different, okay? It's an hour drive from Philly to Atlantic City. But Atlantic City was badly hurt, even though their tax rate is enormously lower than the tax rate in Philly, okay? And they've had problems because the population is going to the casinos in Pennsylvania. I mentioned yesterday if the tribe believes Spectrum's numbers, they should welcome us. They shouldn't be opposing us because they would make more money. We went through the economics. I won't bore you with that again. What's really important is based on innovations numbers, which is supported by the other 2 firms, okay? Under any circumstances, the Commonwealth makes more money if there's a casino in Brockton, okay? If we're alone and there's no other casino, Commonwealth makes $71 million a year more with us alone. If there's 2 casinos, us and the tribe in Taunton, okay, the Commonwealth will make $40 million a year more. Actually, that's $6 million more than if you didn't give us one and the tribe ended up getting one. But we don't know if the tribe will end up getting one, okay? But most importantly, the tribe and Brockton would have successful casinos if we end up with 2 in the market, okay? As I mentioned, the tribe will make over $100 million a year in their casino. So what's in the best interest of the Commonwealth? I think it's clear giving us a casino in Brockton presents the least amount of risk for you. Okay? Let's go through that analysis briefly. If there's only a tribe and no casino in Brockton, the ultimate risk, the worst thing that could possibly happen, is that the land ends up not going into trust. You'll have no jobs, you'll have no tax revenue, you'll have nothing in Region C, and you'll have nothing in Brockton. That is a terrible risk to take, and the odds of that happening are not insignificant. If Brockton gets a casino, all right, and there's land in trust, we've just gone through it, you'll have twice as many jobs. The Commonwealth will make $40 million a year more, okay, in taxes, if there's both of us. And I should say, if you didn't pick us and you only went with the tribe, and it turns out they don't get a casino, you have a disaster on your hands. And let's hope that doesn't happen. Most importantly, it doesn't mean if you award us a casino that the tribe can't have a casino if it's legal. It's up to the courts to make that determination. But if they determine they can have a casino, the law and the statute dealt with it and said they don't pay a tax, so they'll have a successful casino because the statute contemplated the possibility of 2 casinos. But most importantly, okay, if you don't put a casino in Brockton, okay, Brockton has lost its chance. And this is so important to the city of Brockton. You've heard Mayor Carpenter before, okay? He has made it very clear that this is critical. because of the tax revenue, the economic development, the need for teachers, the need for more police, and a chance to bring this major city back on its feet and grow. So this is ultimately your decision, but it should also be noted that the Phase 1 project that's been proposed, assuming they build that at the tribe, is not what the Commonwealth intended for this region. So I ask you to make a decision to issue a license for Brockton, and if in the end there is a casino allowed with the tribe, there's not going to be any calamity or any horrible thing. There'll be 2 casinos. They'll both do okay, and you're not taking this tremendous risk that if in the end they don't have a casino, you really have left Region C and the city of Brockton empty, and it's really going to be bad for this Commonwealth. So thank you for all the time and effort that you've allowed us to speak to you about, and good luck in your deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our agenda, unless any commissioner had anything else.
You know, I have a quick question to one of your comments, Mr. Bloom. You made the comparison of the tax differential in Atlantic City and Chicago. Besides proximity, which you have talked about in the past, not just now, and the gravity model, in the case of Chicago, what would you attribute your ability to compete effectively, given an adverse tax differential, with the casinos in Indiana, where they're equidistant from downtown Chicago?
Well, we have a better location, first. But secondly, we built a first-class property. It fits in very well. We have the best restaurant in Chicago, the Gibson's chain, famous restaurant group, opened their only other property called Hugo's in our property. People love it. It's a really nice facility. I know that some gentleman had mentioned that they had talked to the people around the area, the government, and we've done what we said we'd do, and we build a good project. We don't build schlocky places. We've gone through our history and reputation in the real estate industry, and we're going to build a nice property, but we compete with people all over. I think we'll compete just fine if we have to compete with a tribal casino in Taunton. And a statement was made about, well, we're going to bring people from Boston. We have a relatively small amount of cannibalization, we told you that, from Boston. We do believe that people will come from the south of Boston because it's more convenient and easier to get here than to drive to north of Boston. And that's one of the advantages that we have. But I think we compete with a lot of good competitors, and we'll do the same here, and we'll build a first-class project.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Thank you all very much for the second or third or fourth time for your time and your patience. We will be live on the web in the last week of April considering this decision, and we will be accepting comments by email up until that evaluation process begins. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Aye. It's a unanimous conclusion.